And joining us in studio to have a conversation about this is Jude Njomo, the Member of Parliament of Kiambu Town, who's the person, of course, that sponsored this particular motion. Thank you so much for joining us. In terms of process, so the bill was discussed this morning in Parliament. You say almost 100% was in support. How far is it? How far to go?
Thank you, Terian. The Banking Bill Amendment 2015 came in today for third reading, and we went to the committee of the whole House, and there was an overwhelming support by members, just like they did during the second reading. It was really supported by all the members. There was a slight amendment which was a bit technical because it came on the penalty side. If you do not go by what the law says, what is going to happen. So there is a penalty that a bank is supposed to be charged if they do not, if they charge any interest higher than the one prescribed by law. And then there is a term of a prison term. But the prison term did not define who is going to be imprisoned in case of not following the law. So we made a bit of amendment to confirm that it is the chief executive officer of any bank.
Tell us a little bit about that particular proposal for imprisonment of a CEO who goes against the law. That's if it passes in the first place.
If this law passes, it prescribes that the interest rates will be charged at a maximum of 4% over the central bank rate. So if any bank, and also on the deposit side, for your deposits, you will get the interest paid at 70% of the central bank rate, so that now the spread can be manageable. So if any bank charges over this bracket, it is illegal. And now the penalties, any bank which charges over and above that, they'll be fined, they'll be given a fine of 1 million, and the chief executive officer of the bank may face a 1-year prison term.
All right, may. All right, let's
or
just
both.
Or
both.
Okay,
yeah,
let's get into the particular issues around interest rates, capping, and I just want to get a sense of where you stand from a capping point of view. Are you generally for the idea of interest of capping of rates generally, or is it just to rope in the rogue banks that we're seeing, or the financial institutions in the country?
But Terian, you'll agree with me that the interest rates in our country have gone amok. Some banks charge 25%, others 26%. It is not possible for any person to do any meaningful business if you are going to borrow any money. And we know, again, it is very, very difficult for any business to run without a loan. So if we just let this to continue, they will go as high as they can. And I think we have a responsibility, and it was in the Jubilee Manifesto, that we are going to try and push the interest rates down. This is a long journey which started 20 years ago during the Donde Bill. That was in the year 2000, when Honorable Joe Donde tried to bring a similar bill to control the interest rates. And there was a lot of interest, and the banks, through the Kenya Bankers Association, promised that they are going to have some self-regulation so that the interest rates can come down. And when the bill was going on, the interest rates went down. But immediately things calmed down, the interest rates came up again.
Let me just cut you short there a little bit. And you've mentioned the Donde Bill, you've talked about self-regulation. There's the issue also of populist politics. Since you've mentioned the Jubilee Manifesto, is this the right solution? I mean, there are arguably other reasons why the interest rates are as high as they are. Let's forget about the banks for a minute. Government spending, fiscal discipline, and how much those actually contribute to why the interest rates are where they are. Isn't this a populist move by Jubilee?
Well, you may think of it that way, but we have a responsibility as leaders who have been elected by people to provide a financial infrastructure that is going to help our people to move on. We know the government has put a lot of resources, have invested a lot in our road network, in electricity supply to people, and so many other things, standard gauge railway, to make sure that we are able to do business, we are able to move our products. But if we do all that, then our people are not able to do business, then we are failing. It is therefore our responsibility as leaders to provide a financial infrastructure that is going to help our people to do business. Many people would like to fight this and saying it is a populist move by politicians. But when it happens and people are able to pay their loans at low interest rates, then nobody will think about it as a populist move. What triggered us to think about this is the cry that we hear from our people. So many people are complaining, oh, I got a loan of 1 million, I have paid 4 million, I haven't even yet finished, my property is still being sold. If you listen to the members who are contributing during this debate, everybody has had an example of people who have been suffering due to these high interest rates.
Which is true, and that affects the majority of Kenyans today. But have you seriously thought about the unintended consequences that come about with interest rate capping? You know, talk about financial institutions leaving completely the poor or the lower end of the pyramid and focusing on people who can afford a certain level of interest rates, and that can be seen throughout the countries that have interest rate caps. If you look at studies by the IMF and by the World Bank, and they say maybe not, this is not the necessary solution.
Terian, for 20 years we have been waiting for an alternative solution. It has not come. For how much longer are we going to wait for it to come? It's not, we are not seeing anybody coming up with a different solution. People will talk about, oh, government is borrowing so much. That can be solved on a different avenue. This is coming to help us at this time. If tomorrow we get another solution, law is not static. We can amend the same law tomorrow or the day after to suit the situation during that particular time. But for now, we need to bring our interest rates down. The banks are not ready to do that on their own. They have formed their own cartels to make sure that the interest rates remain high. If you look at the companies which made over 10 billion in the year 2014, 7 out of 10 of those companies are banks. We have no problem with banks making money because everybody goes to business to make money, but not at the expense of our citizens who are trying to make ends meet, who are trying to do business and they cannot do because the interest rates are just too high. We have to bring sobriety, we have to bring sanity into the banking industry. If another solution comes up tomorrow, we will be ready to change our law accordingly so that it can suit the situation of that day.
Have there been conversations, around perhaps shorter-term solutions, or this as a short-term solution, but other long-term solutions in terms of dealing with the banks directly? Yes, and I agree with you, and I'm sure the majority of Kenyans agree with you, that banks have not, paid any attention to the KBRR, which was introduced by Central Bank and the Treasury to make sure they, maintain interest rates at a certain level. Are there other options on the table, or is this it?
The bankers were invited by the Parliamentary Finance Committee to come and bring in their proposals. What would they like done to change this? And from whatever they presented, there was no solution that we could pick and say this is what we can use as an alternative to capping interest rates. Like I said before, we can do it as a temporary measure. If they come up with another solution, then we can adjust accordingly. But for now, I do not see any other method that can be used to regulate our interest rates or to lower them down.
Now, one of the reasons why they say the Donde Bill, for instance, did not pass, or many other attempts at capping interest rates, was one of them was vested interests in the banking sector. And those vested interests, still remain. The same people who have owned banks in Kenya for all these many years are still the same owners. What will change?
The change this time round is because is that the bill is going to go through.
Do you think the president is going to assent to it?
Why should I think the president is not going to assent to it? The president listens to the people of Kenya. He knows the people of Kenya wants to have lower interest rates. I have no doubt in my mind that the president is going to assent to this bill.
All right. I'm sure we'll speak to you very soon on the same. Thank you so much for making time on the Citizen Business Center tonight. Jude Jomo, Member of Parliament, Kiambu Town, joining us on matters interest rates. We'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you.